Fuck.
The Avengers Endgame Infinity War saga is a distant memory. Now we have a TV show about the guy who runs the gas station that Tony Stark stopped at in Iron Man 1 on his way back from the office. It's a 10-episode arc where he joins the lady who served the coffee in Thor, the first Thor movie. She served the coffee and the pancakes. Now she has her own show. This is the hellscape that we've chosen for ourselves. Anyway, I don't know, that's it. How do you turn this off?
You figure it out.
Oh yeah, that's the. Okay, I was like, all right, this is good. So we're gonna be talking about Loki.
Oh man, did you really? Are you actually live?
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about Loki. We didn't like the show really at all. There were a lot of like major flaws in it, and so we had to discuss with each other. And we also fucked up the live stream that we did when we watched it. Like we did a discussion before, during, and after watching the last episode. So now this is us making up for that. We wanted to get a Loki video out just so other people can know like our opinion on it. And so here we go. This is it. This is the Loki video. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on now. We're streaming now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Make your voice normal.
Okay, yeah, this is good. Okay.
Yeah, that's not yet.
You're expecting something else, huh?
Yep. Yeah, I don't want to like dwell too much on it. The show's really bad for a lot of reasons, and well, I mean, like, I don't know. I guess whether it's good or bad is it's pretty bad. But like, I guess you could have a subjective opinion on it. But like, we don't really like it, and I don't really want to dwell on like too many of the things. But like just after after the reveals in the last episode, like just the entire show doesn't really make any sense at all. Like the entire premise that the show tried to like lay out for itself doesn't work. And so I just wanted to go through like all the things that they said and kind of explain like why I think it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm ready to hear.
Are you looking at my screen or is it?
Yeah, I don't have a list. I didn't write anything out for this.
Okay, yeah, no. I'm just gonna lower this so you can see the little dog in the logo.
All right, I'll go ahead. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I took some screenshots of like what the show says, and then I like wrote some shit just so I can kind of like keep my thoughts straight. And I'll try and go through this as succinctly as possible. So so some of this is from the first episode where we kind of first got introduced to the TVA and like what the fuck's going on, and then there's some screenshots from the last episode that kind of try and add more color to that. And that's where everything kind of like falls apart. So
Looks like meat back on the menu, boys.
So it first starts out with long ago there being a multiversal war, and like that, you know, it's like, okay, we don't really know what that means, but sure.
Wrong.
Yeah. And then they say countless unique timelines battled each other for supremacy.
Is this the first episode?
Yeah, this is in the first episode.
Okay.
So we have timelines. So yeah, I just put this is a weird way to refer to like different universes. I feel like they're trying to like I don't know. This is like, now that we've like seen what we've seen, it's like I don't think they fucking know what timelines are or like what that means. Another reality is
well,
like,
I am confusion.
Yeah, another reality is not necessarily like another timeline, right? A timeline is like the way that time goes, and then a timeline that would branch off of it would be because something in it changed.
Right.
So another reality isn't necessarily like another timeline. It's another reality that has a separate timeline, and then that timeline is different. I should have like drawn
you
more
are
pictures
so
for
dumb.
this.
You are really dumb. For real.
So anyways, then it says that they brought peace by reorganizing the multiverse into a single timeline. And I think I wrote that like this is a really weird detail that we're still kind of waiting for the show to fully explain, because like this doesn't really like make a lot of sense intuitively, that like all these timelines were brought together into a single timeline. So when the show introduces this to us, we're kind of like, okay, and we can only kind of take it at like face value, but this is one of those details that's like really, really fuzzy.
Yeah, it doesn't really jive with like my worldview of thinking that like every time that you make a decision, it's like any like decision could be an infinite number of possibilities, and then like every single person has an infinite number of decisions that they could make. So like, how could it just be like one timeline? I don't get that. But if that's the case, like I said before, then it's just everything is predetermined, and so then nothing matters at all. And so when you look at it like that, the whole thing is really dumb. The whole idea of that.
So here's kind of the thing with like everyone does have like infinite decisions, but like once the decision is made, like the timeline progresses and it's set in
right
stone.
But they can and then they make another decision, but they're saying that it's already written, all the future is already like decided all the way till the end.
Yeah, which is also like something that like I might dispute a little bit as we go further. So anyways, so this is weird. It's hard to understand, and we kind of needed the reveal at the end. But anyways, then they go on to explain that they preserve the proper flow of time, okay, and that people veer off the path that the timekeepers created. And so this again is like, you can't. This is like, this just doesn't even make any sense. Like, there's no such thing as, like, once a decision has been made, that's the way the time flows, and you can't.
Gives me conniptions.
This is kind of hard to explain. Like, maybe I'll come back to this, and like it'll make a little bit more sense once we analyze like what happened. Okay, so this is the dude. I just wanted to point out that he comes from Earth.
I just wanted to point out that it was the most overacted thing I've ever seen in my life. He was so hammy, and he just ate up the scenery, and I hated watching him. And it seems like they're going to bring him back, and he's going to be like a major character, at least in the Marvel circles that I'm perusing through Reddit. Everybody's stoked on this guy, the character that he portrays from the comics.
Can you not do the voice thing?
Is there a voice changer on it?
Yeah, you've had it on the whole time.
Are you serious? Yeah. Wait, I thought I had it on regular.
No.
What is it on? Oh, it's still the baby voice.
You sound like a chipmunk.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay, here we go.
I thought you were just doing it
for real this time.
This is really hard to talk about because you sound so unserious, and it sounds like I'm the one that only gives a shit about this, and you're like, yeah, man, I'm gonna phone it in with this fucking chipmunk. I don't really care. And then you have like a lot to contribute, and I was like, god damn, dude, pick a lane. Like,
Yeah. Well.
So, anyways, I was gonna say, I don't really think, like, because if anyone can understand, you were saying that the guy was hammy and he ate up like the whole scene or chewed on the scenery or something.
Yeah,
along those lines.
definitely.
And like, I didn't hate his character so much. I feel like you're targeting a lot of like your hate for just how shitty the writing and everything else about the episode was.
No, it wasn't. It's not even the character. It's just the actor and the way he played him was like so like over the top and campy, and it was. Really
I thought it was
dumb.
fine.
The climax of a 6-episode arc to meet this guy who's like essentially fucking Willy Wonka, like, man, fuck that guy.
I thought it was okay. I was mainly disappointed that like everything that he was telling us was kind of stupid. So, anyways, I just thought it was important to distinguish that he's from Earth. So this guy is not powerful. Like he's a human. He doesn't have superhuman strength or telekinesis or anything like that. He's literally a human. He's a scientist. He's like Rick Sanchez in the sense that like he created like interdimensional whatever, but he doesn't have anything else after that. So I just wanted to point that out because like I was wondering like why he was still alive, because he sounds like he's been alive a long time. You could maybe attribute that to the fact that he lives at like the end of time or a place that like time doesn't exist, and so he's not affected. But like the show doesn't really go into it. But I just want to say this guy's on Earth. He doesn't have like he's an Earthling. He doesn't have powers or anything like that. So that's what this scene is for. And then he discovered that universes are stacked on top of his own. So this is like again what I mean. Like these aren't multiple timelines that are fighting. Or like multiple branches of time or anything like that. These are distinctly like multiple realities. And that's important because different things can happen in these realities, but for like the sake of this, like we'll say that all the realities that followed the timeline or unfolding of events close enough to Kang's, because like most people are calling this guy Kang the something or other.
Yeah, Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna.
I don't understand. I swear to God, I don't understand.
So I'm just gonna call him Kang for the. So we have to assume that like every reality that whose timeline followed within like a certain degree of variation, Kang's timeline, are the only ones that we're gonna get to a point where he discovers interdimensional travel. So even though there are infinite realities, really the only ones that matter are the ones where Kang got to the point where he discovered interdimensional travel. So that doesn't mean that the other ones like don't matter as much, but like, you know, if they had like such varying, you know, because like if we're assuming that there's infinite realities with infinite possibilities, there's going to be some realities where Kang didn't even get to that point, and then so like they don't necessarily matter. This is all I'm trying to avoid getting too lost into the weeds, so sorry if I get a little lost on some of this shit. But anyway, so all I'm trying to say is that these aren't different timelines, as in there was one great timeline and these are all different branches on them that differ. No, these are different realities, which means that they're separated timelines, essentially. So anyways, and then he's like, okay, then they wanted to like conquer, and then they all started to preserve their own universe. And this is, again, the show kind of like uses reality and universes and time like interchangeably, and these are all very specific words that have specific meanings, and it kind of uses them interchangeably to like confuse you and kind of get away with like what it wants its story to be conveying, or like what's convenient to like explain its shit. But like if you ask the show to like pin down like what do you mean by reality, what do you mean by timeline, what do you mean by universe, it would like not give you a straight answer. But these are all important because these all mean specific things to us in the English language.
Quit playing.
Robert.
I didn't do this stuff.
Yeah. So
R. Kelly, deep cut.
Get that. Where's that little arrow? So anyways, they're all fighting to preserve their own universes, and yeah, that was just to say that they are all like separate universes. And then he talks about Eliath and how he found a being that's capable of consuming time and space itself. Now this is important when we go back to like this. They didn't reorganize the multiverse into a single timeline, right? Instead, Eliath ate all the other timelines. So there isn't like all these timelines melded into one. There's literally just one left, which he conveniently shows us here. And he specifically says that I'm not even using my document anymore, which I've so he specifically says that he isolated our timeline, and this is important because isolating means one. It means you isolated it. You stripped it away from all the other ones and you got it by itself. It does not mean condensed. It does not mean he took all the other timelines and squeezed them into one timeline. It means he isolated this timeline from all the other ones. So this explanation means, or can only mean essentially, that like he got Eliath to eat all the other timelines and realities. And so they don't exist anymore. And now this is really important because if you just this alone kind of screws up the entire premise of the show. Because if if this was one of the variations of infinite timelines, that means that this timeline can only unfold one way because all the other variations existed in the other different realities. Does
Right,
that
so
make
then
sense?
how would it branch off at all?
Exactly. So it can't branch off because this timeline has to happen exactly the way this timeline is supposed to happen. Which means that the TVA has no reason to even exist. Like, by eliminating all the other timelines, you've essentially done the thing that the TVA wants. But the show's like, well, if we do that, then we can't have a fucking show.
Right.
And so therefore, it has to not make any sense.
Because
so
like,
that's the whole point.
If nobody, it's either nobody would branch off at all, or people that do branch off, it would be, like, meant to happen. So, one way or the other, it doesn't make any sense.
Exactly, which is why, like I said, this was going to be hard to explain until we got to this point. But, like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this guy going on, the red line that he's, like, going on that's supposed to be, like, oh, he's, like, deviating. It's like, if he's doing this, he should just be walking here with these regular people because that's what he's supposed to do.
Right.
Because that's what was supposed... He doesn't have a choice. Like, by eliminating all the other... He had, like... The other realities were like permutations of his choices, right? But like when you eliminate all those other realities, you only leave the reality where he does like the one thing.
Right.
So if he does the like deviation, quote unquote, he's already doing the thing that he's supposed to do.
Right. And they kind of explain this away unceremoniously when in the first episode when Loki's like, well, the Avengers traveled through time, and they're like, well, yeah, they were meant to travel through time and change.
And I drew like a little. What the fuck? I did like draw some stuff in paint, and I'll try and get to that in a second.
Oh God.
So then he's like, all I had to do is manage the flow of time. Again, this doesn't make any sense because like literally by eliminating it down to one timeline, that timeline will just play out the way that it's supposed to. It doesn't need any mediation. And then to prevent further branches, like I said, nothing should branch off of it. That like literally doesn't make any sense. And then he's like, I knew everything up to a certain point. And like, that's again another thing where it's like, why does he, this isn't really part of this argument. This is just like a stupid thing about this character. It's like, why did he only know things up to a certain point? Like that doesn't make any sense. Again, also is like, we expressed in the beginning, he doesn't have a power. So like, how does he know anything at all? He doesn't have premonition or foresight or telekinetic powers or anything that gives him the ability to like, manipulate and control time other than the fact that he made like interdimensional travel or whatever. And so like I guess you can use that to explain that like the TVA would then have things that allow them to like prune time or whatever, but like it doesn't explain like how he can see time. And if it does explain how he can see time, it doesn't explain like why he could only see up to a certain point. So I just thought this part was dumb. I just wanted to highlight that. So okay, so then I drew some like pretty bad pictures in paint. So this is an example of like the black is like a timeline, right? And then these are like different like branching timelines, but these can only happen if like, for example, let me just make this a little thicker. These could only happen if, for example, like you were here in time and you went back here and you changed something. Or you went back here and you changed something. Or you went back here and you changed something. Yeah. Then you would get a branching timeline, right? Because this shit would all get invalidated because you changed something in the past. Yeah. But Marvel, and then even if that happened, it would only, like this is supposed to show, like this red line right here is supposed to show that these would all get contained in the red is supposed to be like your reality, right? And that...
Yeah.
And that the other timelines supposedly that would be going to war with you, they would be taking place in their own reality above.
Yeah.
So anyways, but we already showed that Marvel, when you go back in time, nothing changes in the future, right? Because you can take shit and then bring it to the future, and its future's the same.
Well, it does change it to the future. It does change something in the future, doesn't it? Oh no, because they return to the same future that they left.
Yeah, it changes in the sense that like you brought something from the past to the future, but it doesn't change the future like Back to the Future.
Yeah, I guess that never made sense in Endgame because they returned to the same future that they left after they had all the Infinity Stones. So that doesn't really make any sense.
No, it does make sense. It's showing that they can go back into time and they can.
Yeah, but if they got the Infinity Stones before they got gathered by Thanos, then he never would have snapped, and half the people never would have gone away.
No, because then it also shows that as the timeline goes further after they've beaten Thanos, they return again and return them.
Yeah, but before they return the stone. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So, like, this is the other thing that you have to realize is that the event in Endgame, the Avengers go back in time and go completely undetected, which means that theoretically, when we're watching Avengers 1,
yeah,
Avengers from Endgame are in that timeline as well, doing shit with the Infinity Stones in the background because time is already set. Like, like all the events have been, like,
it all happens simultaneously all the time.
It's all weird, but like when you think about it, like it all works. So none of this stuff about like Loki or these branching timelines or anything. Like I said, once he isolated the timeline, there can't be any branches because everything that happens in that timeline happens the way that it's supposed to. Unless, like I said, you go back in time and you do something and it creates a butterfly effect. But like that, they established in the Marvel universe that that's not how time works. So yeah, so this show is like very, very dumb. They had the wool over our eyes in the beginning because like the show was being vague on purpose, but like even when the show got to like the end point and it wanted to explain like how it was being clever, like the entire thing collapses. And so I just wanted to the show is rife with other problems we could totally harp on and things like that, but I really just wanted to go into like the main part of the show, the thing that holds up the entire like idea of the TVA and like Kang's purpose and all that stuff. Like it doesn't work at all, and it's all fucking stupid. And remember how at the end of the show, like the statue is different? It's like the statue of Kang.
Yeah.
So they also go further to contradict themselves by showing that if you do something, it changes the past, because that was like which also doesn't make sense because so first of all we'll tackle it one at a time. So Sylvie kills Kang,
right?
And so now in the reality that Loki's in, because something happened, time got changed, which Marvel has already gone out of its way to show that doesn't happen. So the show is like, fuck that, it does happen. You kill this guy at the end of time, and now shit in your reality has changed because supposedly like all the timelines are branching, and so it ends up like infinite possibilities, and so Loki is in this like new reality where the statue's different. Okay. The reason why that also doesn't make sense in the context of the show is because Sylvie pushes Loki through the portal into that reality before she kills Kang. So Loki can't be in a reality that then gets changed 5 minutes later.
Well, I think you're still assuming that where they go is in the future.
No. I'm assuming that wherever they are is in like a time that's like completely separate from time.
Yeah. Maybe by the time he gets out and sees the statue, Sylvie has killed the guy.
Supposedly, but the way that the show is set up tempad portals, it hasn't given us any reason to think that the people that go in and out of them don't appear instantly on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'd be willing to like that. That's like us like writing for the show, which we're trying not to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to assume that like once Loki gets pushed out of the tempad portal, also like we see the portal close, right? It's not like he can't jump through it because it's got like a door on it. It vanishes from space and time, right? And then it vanishes from space and time on Sylvie's side while Kang is still alive. So that means that when he's already in when he's in the TVA, and also if we really think about it, the TVA exists in a place where time and space don't apply to it. So why then would
how does the TVA exist when?
Yeah, why would the TVA's reality get changed, the statue getting changed? Why would that even happen if they exist in a place that is devoid of space? That like they operate, because like they operate in a place where the Infinity Stones don't work.
Yeah.
And then just to add like one more stupid fucking cherry on top of this shit sundae, that is this dumbass show. When Loki is literally, by the way, the most the highest profile variant of the TVA, and at the end of the show, he's literally like wandering around the TVA, and nobody is stopping him. Nobody is trying to account for his actions or anything like that. He's literally the highest profile. Yeah, which is weird. He's literally the highest profile person of the TVA, and nobody like recognizes him or stops him or anything. So why doesn't he just grab all the Infinity Stones? Because he knows where they are. They're just in a desk somewhere. They're not in a safe. They're not in a special room with security measures or anything like that. They're literally in a desk. He could, and no one is stopping him or paying any attention to him. He could literally go into the room with the Infinity Stones, get all of them, use a temp pad to go to a place where time and space do apply, where the Infinity Stones have power, and then he could use the Infinity Stones to undo everything that Kang has done. So, and he doesn't do that because he's got to go talk to Owen Wilson, and he's got to see that the statue has changed. So I'm just saying this show is super bad at writing for itself and its characters, or even giving motivation. And like, you know, one of the other things that we talked about on the stream that got cut, that we used
pizza
to qualify. You have to do one that was super long.
It doesn't tell you how long they are.
One of the other reasons that we use to qualify why the show is bad is like, name one cool thing that Loki has done the entire show.
Yeah, he doesn't really do any cool shit. In fact, like he's like a side character. The show is called Loki, but he's like a side character in it.
Yeah, he literally just gets ferried from like scene to scene so that other characters can do things.
Right.
And yeah. So this is just like a couple, like I'm pretty much done at this point. This is just like a couple reasons why Loki is bad and the show doesn't make sense. And I get it. I get that like time travel is difficult. But like, I think that we all agree that we like the way the Endgame did it, and the Endgame did it pretty well. You know, time travel is very like interpretive, and like you do have to kind of like go out of your way to like set hard rules. But Endgame kind of did that for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now this show has come in and kind of like had its cake and eaten it too, in like every opportunity it's been given, and like not paid any heed to this. So I just find that really fucking annoying. And just really stupid. And it's hard to like get invested in these shows when you're constantly like, why are they doing things this way when like it's been explained that this doesn't work? And then the show like tries to explain it, but it does a really bad job of doing it, and it constantly is like contradicting itself. So yeah, that's all. That's like that's the end of my Loki.
Believe me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it got cut out of that other recording that we did.
Yeah,
where I went through it a lot more thoroughly, but also spent a lot more time talking it out.
Yeah, it was like four hours or something that we had on that one.
I didn't talk about it for 4 hours, but like I talked about it
was
for
a
at
long,
least an hour.
No, you know, it was 2.5 hours, I think.
Yeah, but we also watched the episode.
Yeah, we watched the episode in the middle of it.
And we also
were dissecting
like some stuff before it. Yeah, and then I think we also talked about like, we talked about the show and the series as a whole for a while before I really started to dig into like why the shit that they set up didn't make any sense. I think I talked about it for like an hour. And I related it to shows.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
And I related it to shows like Steins Gate and stuff like that, because I felt like they were trying to combine a lot of like time travel theories, like.
But yeah, whichever one sounds the coolest at the time for.
Yeah, and it's just like just nothing that the show does works, and like I said, like none of it's interesting because like Loki's like never fucking cool. He's just never cool in the show, and it's just sad because he is like a really. That's why we like him, because he's done a lot of cool things in the other shows, like specifically with like duplicating himself and using like mirror images and stuff, and he just doesn't do any of that in this show, and it's really stupid, and the show's just like highly contradictory.
Yeah, overall,
I'm pretty tired of it.
Yeah.
What's up,
That's right, guys. Our sponsor today is BitConnect. Put all your money into an account, into something that you don't understand, and then get scammed out of it and be upset about it. BitConnect.
That's like Loki.
Yeah, that's what Loki is.
Loki is the BitConnect of the MCU.
Yeah, we all got scammed by that show and having to watch it. And I said this, I think I said it on the other stream like every episode just feels like completely disconnected from the one before it. Like we just saw like 6 episodes of completely different shows.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a fan of that show, and I hope that they make stuff that is good in the future, because this was like shitty, man.
I mean, unfortunately, they're good. They're definitely gonna make a second season.
Yeah, they definitely are, but
hopefully, it doesn't translate. Like, hopefully, whoever watched this, like, I was kind of thinking about this, and I feel like most shows probably will go to like 3 seasons, because I think that like you have the first season, right, and like people watch it and they have certain expectations, and those expectations, regardless of whether they're met, underachieved, or exceeded, usually they're interested enough that they're like, maybe they'll get their shit together in season 2, and then they watch season 2.
Well, they said they're not gonna do a second season of WandaVision, but they did confirm a second season of Loki already. Yeah,
well, maybe they don't need a second season of WandaVision, because I don't think that they fucked anything up so monumentally as they did with this show. Like, you kind of need another season of Loki just so they could try and like right the ship. Even though they're probably going to try and do it in that movie.
It's just really hard because I feel like, okay, so outside of Drinker's video, and I think that's the only one I watched about Loki, I feel like we're the only ones that are saying that this is not a good show.
No, there's everyone on EFAP who Critical Drinker goes on every now and then.
Oh, okay.
They all hate it. They hated it from the first episode. They literally gave it a 1 out of 10.
Oh man, episode. That is not a lot.
And they had like pretty low expectations for it going forward. And honestly, like I wasn't gonna watch it, and then I heard them like review it so poorly that that's what I was like, man, I have to see like what they did, because like they kept talking about the Infinity Stones, and I was like, oh my god, they're literally in a fucking desk.
Yeah. Just in a drawer.
And so I definitely had like a little bit of like a negative slant before we even started watching the show, because like I heard them review it first, but then like the show like really never panned out in a way that I was like, yeah, I was being biased going into it. It's like, yeah, I was being biased going into it, but then that bias was like constantly confirmed like every episode, even more so as we got along. But anyways, let me what I was saying about the season thing, and like, I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen with this show, but this is kind of what I think like happens with shows, is that the first season you're into the show, right? Because you're watching it because you're interested.
Yeah.
And whether or not they do well or they do poorly, there's usually things that you like, and you're like, I'll watch the second season, because you also go into the second season with hopes that they're gonna like correct anything that you didn't like from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's the second season is what breaks the show. Is that's where you're like, okay, I'm gonna watch the third season because I like what they did. They fixed enough stuff from the first season that I like the show now. Or you're like, they didn't fix and they did extra things that I didn't like. And I think that the third season is like where the show lives or dies, because it loses people that are invested in the second, right? Like I feel like they get a third season, and then the third season is really what makes or breaks it, because it's like you get those people that like, because like everyone that watched it in the first season watches the second season too. So you have to assume that if it got a second season because of how well it did in the first season, it's going to get those same numbers in the second season, because all those people are going to come back and watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think between 2 and 3 is where you get the drop off, because people are like, fuck that, the second season was bad, or it didn't do enough, or whatever. And then the third season gets like half the viewership because it didn't. So I think Loki will get 3 seasons, depending on like how, because like this one was really open ended, but like depending on like how open ended they keep doing shit. But like I think it will get 3 seasons, and then after that it will either like die or it will like continue to get more. That's my prediction based on this. Like I've kind of just like made this up, but like I'm trying to like theory it out. But like that's how I think shows work. Because like that's how I watch shows. I'm usually like, well, because like that's how I felt about Mandalorian. Was like, you know, I really didn't like the first couple episodes of Mandalorian just because I felt like the character like kept cocking himself, and it just like really disappointed me, like that they wrote him in a way. But it had enough stuff that it's like, you know, I'll definitely check out the second one because they might write stuff that's like a little bit higher caliber.
Yeah, I wasn't sold on it until the end of the first season.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I felt. And then I was like, well, I'm like, the show does enough good things that I feel like even if I watch the second season, like there will be enough things in it that I'll probably enjoy it, unless they do like some really, really poor shit. And you know, I still think the second season has like problems and stuff like that, but like I felt like they strengthened, they definitely like tightened up on the things that they were strong on, and they cut back on the things that they were weak on. Now I don't remember it like super, super well, so don't like hold me to that. If like this, you know, someone's like, well, what about this, and this, or whatever. It's like, I don't remember it that well, but like, I remember like liking it enough that's like, you know, I'll definitely watch the third one. But, like for example, like a show that I did this with is Ozark, where I watched the first season of Ozark. I don't know if you've seen the show, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's like Jason Bateman is like an accountant for a drug cartel, and like he's trying to like get out of it, but he just keeps getting like deeper and deeper because like shit keeps happening where he has to like, he keeps getting his like life threatened, and then he like pulls out like an ace out of his sleeve that ends up getting the person that's gonna kill him to like not kill him, but then he's kind of like indebted to them. And you know how it is with drug cartels is like when they lose value of you, they just because we're all in a drug cartel. Yeah, exactly. So when they lose like their value of you, they just normally kill you. There's no reason for them to like let you go and like have a loose end out there, right? Mm-hmm. So every time they're about to kill him, he has to like invent a new thing that he can do for them so that they keep him alive, and he just keeps getting deeper and deeper. Anyways, the first season is okay, and I was like, okay, I'm interested enough to like see what happens in the second season, especially because like the first season will usually end with like, it will like close off a few arcs, but it'll like open up a couple new ones that you're like, oh, we're gonna resolve this in season 2, and you're like, okay, well, I kind of want to see, I'm like invested, so I want to see what happens in season 2. And then I watched season 2, and I just came to the conclusion that like the show just, in my opinion, like doesn't have enough high moments for the main character. Like Bateman's character is just miserable in this show. Like every fucking episode, he's just worse off than the last episode, and he never gets to put a fucking W in on the page. You know, he's constantly putting up L's, and so I just decided, I'm like, yeah, I'm just tired of this show. Like I don't want to watch the third season because I don't want to just watch another fucking season of him just getting cucked all the time. It's just not enjoyable to me, and that's when I pulled out. And I think that they're on like a 4th season or something like that now. So like apparently whoever it appealed to, like there's enough people that like it got to keep going or whatever. Yeah. But that's how I felt. And this show was just like, it's like so fucking bad. It doesn't do anything good is kind of its problem.
You're talking about Loki?
Is like, yeah, Loki.
Okay.
Loki doesn't do anything good where I'm like, oh, I can forgive the bad shit because like the good stuff is like at least interesting enough that I want to, like, this show does nothing good. Like Loki sucks in it. Sylvie is like a complete mystery. So like, she's not even interesting.
Yeah. Really
the TVA is retarded. Owen Wilson's character is like cool, but like now he's also kind of tied inexplicably to like the retarded plot. Yeah. And you know, we didn't get to see him ride a jet ski like once.
I wanted the jet ski. Everybody wanted the jet ski.
Yeah, I feel like the season would have really benefited from like one jet ski scene with Owen Wilson. Like I feel like that was like a thing that like they didn't even write into the show, and Owen Wilson just suggested it to the writers because like he was personally hoping that he was going to get to ride a jet ski. He's just like, man, it's been a while since I've done a movie where I got to do something that I want to do, and he's like, I really want to ride a jet ski, so like maybe I'll ask the writers if they can make my character like jet skis, and then maybe by the 6th episode they'll let me ride a jet ski.
Yeah, I get a
And
jet ski payoff.
Yeah, and they just didn't do it. So yeah, it's like I feel like this show is like unredeemable on like a lot of levels. But that's my prediction for like how shows will like live and die. Again, like we discussed in the stream that we did about our top movies, is that Marvel is kind of coasting in like monopoly territory, and so like they might just be at the point where like, you know, there's just enough people that will just eat this shit. And also, it's a Disney Plus show, so yeah.
Right.
So, you know, the show might not even have to stand on its own merits, right? They might just be judging all the shit that they make on Disney Plus based on like Disney Plus subscribers, which you can't necessarily attribute to like one thing or the other.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as Netflix. They make all this garbage. They just base it on how many people are subscribing.
Yeah, exactly. And like Disney's smart enough to release things in a cadence that keep people subscribed month to month, right?
Yeah.
So, because this came out like right after Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And like Black Widow came out right after 4 episodes of Loki had aired. 4 or 5, I don't remember. So, you know, imagine you're like, I'm going to subscribe 1 month for Loki, and then 4 episodes go by, your month subscription is up. Oh, but Black Widow's coming out next month, and the next 2 episodes are Loki. So I subscribe. And then, so like, that's what I mean, is like, they have like a cadence of drops. So I don't even know if the show will get like canceled or whatever based on its own merits. It might just be something that they produce indefinitely if they feel like it's worth having in their product catalog. So who even knows?
Yeah, there might be like one of those shows that like everybody knows but nobody watches anymore. Like Supernatural.
Yeah.
I think Supernatural's going on its 84th season this year.
Jesus.
I don't know. I don't even know if that show's still on, but it has a lot of seasons. It's not super great. It might still be on. Wait, hold on. Let me look it up. Oh, it ended last year. So yeah, they had like 15 seasons.
Okay.
That's so much. There's so much show, bro. Can't watch that much.
Anyways, I don't know if you've still been watching my screen. Hopefully not, because
Yeah, we've been looking at your desktop this entire time.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that
Well,
it?
that's cool, because at least it changes. So hopefully that's entertaining. Yeah, that's all I had to say about it. Like I kind of wanted to keep it short, and then we went on a rant about like how shows live and die. I was gonna say, do you want to just like cut this one and then maybe do like a movie commentary or something?
I think we should pinch it off. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that.
Yeah.
But do we want to do something after?
I don't know. Let's just turn this one off and then we'll talk about it.
Okay, because yeah, I think this is pretty like because.
Do you know the way?
What is it? It's probably got to be at like 40 minutes by now, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, so hopefully it's not too long. That
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
I love that guy's voice.
Yeah.
Mission failed.
Mission failed. Failed the mission, Master Wayne.
I burnt that letter.
I burnt that letter. I burnt the forge down.
Did you get that letter off my desk that told them to renew Loki for season 2?
Yeah.
I burnt that letter.
Spare you the pain.
Shrek is love, I say. Shrek is life.
Okay, well, I guess we'll kind of cut it off here. It'll just kind of end, huh?
Yeah, it just ends.
Okay.
NANI?
Okay, bye.